This lecture is about factoring binomials that are the sum and difference of two perfect cubes. And so they have the form a cubed plus b cubed and a cubed minus b cubed. So here are the formulas. A cubed plus b cubed equals a plus b times the quantity a squared minus ab plus b squared. And a cubed minus b cubed equals a minus b times the quantity a squared plus ab plus b squared. So you should memorize these formulas. And there's some patterns that go along here. When you have the sum of two perfect cubes, the first parentheses always has a plus b. When you have the difference, it's a minus b. And then it's always, the form of the a's and b's are all the same. It's basically just the signs that you have to keep straight. And so when you have the sum, the first grouping is the sum, and then you change the sign for this middle term ab, and the b squared is positive in both of them. So that's a little pattern that you can follow when you're doing your memorizing. Our first example here is x cubed plus 8. So I think when you're new to this, the easiest way to do it is to rewrite it as two things cubed, because then you can exactly follow this formula, figure out what your a is and what your b is. And so x cubed is already written as something cubed. So that would just be x cubed. And then we have plus, and we want to figure out what number we would cube to get 8. And the number that we would cube to get 8 is 2. And so we could rewrite this as x cubed plus 2 cubed. And if we do that, then our a is going to be x, and our b is going to be 2. And then we can just follow this formula up here for the sum of two perfect cubes. And so the first parentheses, it's going to be a plus b. So for us, that's going to be x plus 2. And then in the second set of parentheses, we have a squared. So we want to square whatever a is, and our a is x, so that's going to be x squared. And then we have to change our sign, so it's going to be minus. And then multiply a and b together, and x times 2 is 2x. And then the last term is always positive, and it's your b, and you have to square it. And 2 squared is 4. Example B, 27x cubed minus 125. So again, I think it's easiest if we write this as things being cubed so that we can figure out what our a and our b are. And the number that we have to cube to get 27 is 3. And so we have 3 cubed times x cubed minus the number that we would cube to get 125 is 5. So it's minus 5 cubed. This again could be rewritten. We can rewrite this so that it looks a little different. So this is 3 times 3 times 3 times x times x times x. And if we do a little regrouping, we could rewrite it as 3x times 3x times 3x. So we could rewrite that as 3x cubed, and then we have minus 5 cubed. So our a this time is 3x, and our b is 5. So the first parentheses is going to be, and this is the difference, so this is also going to be the difference of our a and b, so that's going to be 3x minus 5. And then we square the a, so when we square 3x, that will give us 9x squared. And then we change our sign. Since this is negative, the next sign is going to be positive. And then we multiply a and b together. And 3x times 5 gives us 15x. And then the last term is always positive, and it's your b squared. And 5 squared is 25. So again, this last term is b squared, and our b was 5. So that's how we got the 25. So there is our final answer. And here's another example, 64x cubed plus 27y cubed. Again, you might want to rewrite this as two things being cubed. The number that we would have to cube to get 64 is 4, so we could rewrite this first term as 4x cubed. and then it's plus, and the number that we would cube to get 27 is 3, so that would be 3y, that cubed. So my a for this one is 4x, and my b is 3y. This is the sum, so in the first set of parentheses, I want to add a and b, so that would be 4x plus 3y. In the second set of parentheses, remember we want to square the a, that's our first thing. And so we were going to take this 4x and we're going to square it. And so that gives me 16x squared. And then we have to change our signs. We're going to change that to a minus sign. And then we're going to take our a and multiply it to our b. And that's going to give me 12xy. Last term is always positive, and it's b squared. Our b was 3y, so I want to square this 3y. And that gives me 9y squared. So our final answer this time is 4x plus 3y times the quantity 16x squared minus 12xy plus 9y squared. Okay, so that is the end of our lecture on factoring the sum and difference of two perfect squares. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.